Hello everybody, welcome once again to AfriPost. I believe wherever you're watching us from, you're doing great. Now, there is one thing that I've always talked about, especially when I'm handling issues of African Americans and African immigrants in the United States. You know, there have been a lot of questions whether these two groups really respect each other or even love each other. The other time I told you how one African American was really thinking that Nigerians hate them and there are certain slurs that they use that mean the N-word, yet this was not the truth. And in today's video, I also want us to look at one thing here. Now, there is this guy who has been making tons of videos on TikTok and especially addressing the black community in the United States. He is by himself an African American. And one thing that he keeps on saying is that African immigrants in the United States laugh at African Americans just because of the lack of success. He is saying that African Americans in the United States are kind of lazy and they cannot use opportunities that African immigrants come and utilize and then save up for their future. So kindly watch this video and then the reactions that he gets from different immigrants and also African Americans, and then we will comment to it at the end. Take a listen.
You know, I was thinking something today, and I bet a lot of immigrants laugh at a lot of black Americans. So imagine this. Imagine you live in India, right? You move your family, it's you, your wife, and you've got 2 kids. You move your family over here and you have nothing once you get here. Or let's say you've got $3,000 to your family's name by the time you get here. By the way, you don't speak English very well at all. Very broken English, you can barely even understand it. Yet you apply for 200-300 jobs, find yourself a job, you start making money. From there, you're working your butt off and you're saving every penny while also helping take care of your family. Your wife is working as well, you both are taking care of the children, obviously. You work your butt off for 10 years, save up enough money, right? Then you start your own business. From this point, as your business started, it struggled for the first year or two, but you had a good savings and now your business is starting to become profitable, you're starting to make money. Then you kick it into overdrive, you push the business even harder, and now you're making even more money. Now it's about time for your kids to go to college, so you've been saving up for their college fund, and now you look to start sending them to school. Your kids then go to school, they become doctors or lawyers or surgeons. They graduate 2 years after college, after they're done with their schooling, they're now making 6 figures a year regularly. You then see people that were born here with every opportunity that you dreamed about having and moved your family across the world from, and they're busy blaming the fact that they're not successful on the things that happened 200-300 years ago to their grandparents, their great-great-great-grandparents, right? I don't understand how immigrants don't look at that and they're not like, oh my God. Something today, and I bet a lot of immigrants laugh at a lot of black Americans.
Some of y'all have a sick obsession with trying to call black Americans lazy, and it's just weird to me. Number 1 was you thinking something today. Nobody asked you to do that. Mistake number 2 was trying to compare black Americans to black immigrants. Because for what? I love how y'all try to equate being born in America to access to privilege and power, when we all know that there are systems of oppression that constantly work against black Americans day in and day out. And then y'all continue to try to perpetuate this narrative that slavery was the only system of oppression, which by the way happened 400 years ago, which lets you know that the American school system is failing black people. But y'all try to perpetuate this narrative that slavery was the only thing that was brought against black people throughout our entire history in America that does not allow us to progress. And outside of the fact that that narrative was completely anti-black, it was also absolutely divisive in a way to try to separate black Americans from immigrant black folks in America. So this American dream narrative that folks from outside of America come to America believing is actually just not true. And the experience of black Americans cannot be compared to the experience of immigrant black people in America. And that's just the end of it. Now, I'm sure that you already knew all this, but it doesn't matter because your goal was to be divisive and to make black Americans look bad. Yeah, no.
A lot of immigrants laugh at a lot of black Americans.
I feel like that video is very interesting in the sense that, yes, he's right. A lot of immigrants do think that way, but I think it's mostly the older generation immigrants and also the immigrants that just don't mix and are not in the spaces of African Americans at all. I feel like just in general, everybody tends to talk about another culture or ethnicity or group of people without even being in their shoes. So it's very interesting. This this might even sound hypocritical of me because I made a video a couple of years ago speaking about how Africans are, because this man made this stupid comment and I said, well, Africans are like this. I don't know about y'all, but I lived here for more years now and I'm understanding some more things. I think we really need to grasp and really understand the ideology behind a system. Do y'all understand that when white people brought Africans to this country, they implemented a very smart but evil system, or evil but smart system? And y'all just thought when slavery ended that all just went in the gutter? Like, no. Systemic racism bleeds through the veins of America till this day, and I believe will probably do so for a very long time. So as an immigrant, it's a completely different story to work hard to come to a country and then wanting to work hard. But as somebody who's been a victim of that system for a very long time, implemented and integrated in that system, it's very hard to just change. And this is why I'm not going to go deep into it, because I really could go down a whole rabbit hole, but I feel like it's really important to travel. It's really important to know where you come from, to know who you are. And for Africans, I think it's really important to just get to know, how greener or not is the other side of the grass, Anyways, the world sucks. America sucks. White people Let me just not say that on TikTok.
Today, and I bet a lot of immigrants laugh at a lot of Black Americans.
So I just saw this. I think his content is great. I like his messaging. I'm Indian. I've talked about race and income and culture. However, I just don't think it's as binary as how he made it seem in the video. We all know immigrants hustle and work hard. Indian Americans are the highest earning ethnic group of the country. I think there are other factors that have contributed to it, and let me share some. I'll speak from the Indian perspective because that's what I know best. Indians have a massive support system when they come to the US. My parents, when they came 30-ish years ago, had a network of family, cousins, extended family that helped them get on their feet. Similarly, my mom's sister came from India to the US a few years ago. Her and her family stayed with us for a few years until they got on their feet and got their first apartment, and then they bought a house. 2, Indians and immigrants have a hustle mentality that is unrivaled. They're coming from a place of economic hardship, political instability, and in some cases even war-torn countries. Life is relative, and your internal motivation and ambition is determined based on what you've experienced. And people that come from those types of places have an ambition that is better and is superior than anybody else's. Of course, people from all walks of life can have ambition, whether you're from the US or another developed economy. But on average, if you look at a distribution of people, I would assume that immigrants on average would have more hustle and grit than people that are not from those areas. 3, I think there are invisible, systemic, discriminatory practices that negatively influence some groups more than others. And I think lack of access to credit, financing, the practice of redlining has negatively influenced Black Americans' ability to move upward socioeconomically. Case in point, look at this appraisal. A Black family was underappraised by hundreds of thousands of dollars, and when a white family was put in place, it was appraised at $750. This is modern day, and you're still seeing it play out today. I worked in mortgage. We saw this. It was pervasive. And imagine what it was like over the last few decades in the 1900s. It was bad. And when you have decades of a certain practice, it limits economic mobility for a particular group of people. So I don't think you can just say immigrants are successful because of these things. They didn't face some of the prejudices that other ethnic groups have faced. There are thousands of variables that influence a group's success, and I've only given 3. But I want to make the point that it's not as black and white as we make it out to seem.
Immigrants laugh at a lot of Black Americans.
Well, as an immigrant, let me tell you that you would lose that bet. Quit bringing us immigrants into your bullshit. The other day, when the cop stopped me for walking my dog in my own neighborhood, do you think he gave a shit what country I was from? He was the best man for a buddy who moved to Podunk, Missouri so that his wife could be closer to her family. Despite the fact that he is the kindest, most gentle person I have ever met in my life. At 6'2", 260, do you think anybody in that town gave a shit that he was from Kenya and spoke Swahili? I'm applying for loans, when I'm interviewing for a job, when I'm walking through a store, nobody gives a shit that I have a green card and can speak French Creole. Black is black. So no, the vast majority of us immigrants do not see ourselves as higher than African Americans because day in and day out, we are experiencing the same shit. small minority of immigrants that would tell you otherwise are akin to white women that uphold the patriarchy and conservative LGBTQ people. That is to say, they don't know poop from applesauce, and if they had a quarter more wit, they would be half-wits. So can you and the rest of the Coon Brigade leave us out of your shit? Check with the Ukrainians or the Cubans. They might be interested. The rest of us are not.
Immigrants laugh at a lot of black Americans.
Any immigrant who laughs at black people for not making it is brainwashed by white supremacy. To begin with, the ancestors of African Americans didn't migrate here, they were enslaved and brought here. And since 1619, laws have existed to keep black people in a certain level of society. However, for immigrants, over time, we got the ability to come here to work and bring our families. Very different paths. And again, any immigrant doesn't see that is brainwashed by white supremacy. Also, I would like to add that you mentioned Indian families. Again, we're all somewhere because of history. Indians have been able to rise so much because they've been allowed to come to this country and work longer than any other immigrant group. When you look at immigrants from like Haiti, Latin America, African countries haven't had that straight path to come here. And let's not forget, once we get here, it's not all roses for us. We have to deal with xenophobia and racism as well. So you see how white supremacy pins us against each other? So we both work hard, but we need to work harder to stop these white people from doing this to us.
Now, the main question here is, are African immigrants in the United States really laughing at our African American brothers? Because the problem here is that most people think that African Americans are people who are advantaged. After watching that video, the first feeling that I had and the question that I had is, did the guy really have to make that video? Because he is probably an African American, and is he even advantaged? What is it that he has in life that can make him feel more important than other African Americans? Because what he's kind of saying is like, he just wants to get into the skin of African Americans because he understands the challenges that African Americans have gone through. And therefore, if he wants to really put it to African Americans that they are lazy, they are having other people come to their country and take up opportunities and succeed, yet they are there just sitting, this is not true at all. Because if you look at the conditions and the circumstances within which many African Americans are growing, they have really been disadvantaged in many aspects. You're talking about African immigrants coming from Africa. But one thing you must notice that the kind of challenges that African Americans go through, they are unique to them. African immigrants do not go through them. There are people who come from countries where they have completed their education and they are just searching for opportunities. And if they get this employment, they have had their education, and they just go and get employed in another country. But look at African Americans. I would note, for instance, is that you'd realize that the education system in black communities is really disadvantaged in many aspects compared to the white people. And therefore, schooling system for black Americans is not really comparable to that of other immigrants in the United States. So it is really important to note that African Americans have had a lot of things working against them. Look at the Jim Crow rules that they really worked through. These are some of the experiences that they went through. Look at the kind of systemic racism that has really worked against them. Look at the rate at which black men in the United States are being incarcerated. And this leads to single families. And you just know the impact of single families. There's a probability that even the children that are raised without fathers also suffer some mental and even sociological issues. So I believe that African Americans are people who have really suffered a lot. And for me, I don't think it is really fair for anybody to come against them and try to really paint them in a derogatory manner, try to really talk against their existence, try to really put and portray them as people who are lazy, because they are not lazy. The things that are happening to them are just guided by the manner in which circumstances within their lives have dictated. So I don't think through any means that African Americans are lazy. So I believe the guy must really tone down. And I like how other people have really responded to him. They have told him off and he has been put to his place. So what is your opinion on this? Do you really think that African immigrants are laughing at African Americans? And in fact, so what is your opinion on this? Do you think African immigrants are laughing at African Americans? Because even the African immigrants who are talking there, none of them was talking like they are laughing at anybody. In fact, what they were saying is that the kind of circumstances they go through really makes them humble and they really respect what African Americans have really gone through throughout their life. So I don't know what's your opinion. Comment down in the comment section. And if you want other issues relating to African Americans, please watch this. Bye bye.